Hi there, I'm Lynn with Invest St. Louis and St. Louis Real Estate Company and Real Broker LLC. I'm here today to talk to you about doing the BRRRR method. Here's a common statement or question, comes across in many ways, but a lot of times people will come to me who are either buying their first property or maybe buying their first property in St. Louis and they live out of state. And they say, yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a fixer-upper and I'm going to do a BRRRR. BRRRR, if you don't know, is a bigger pockets term that's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and then repeat. And the basic concept there is that if you buy something and you renovate it, then you will be able to cash out refi that property. Typically, that is going to, almost always, that is going to be at 75% of the ARV, of the after repair value. So to keep the math, I'm a very simple math person. To keep the math simple, if we found a building that we bought it at, I may not even do this math well in my head. Let's say you buy it at $100,000 and you are going to have $25,000 to put into it. So once you do that, you would have to have that property updated, and it would have to be 100. Oh yeah, I can't do this in my head. $125,000 would have to be 75% of the future ARV. So that's probably something like 175 to 200, something along those lines. I'm showing my embarrassing math skills in my head right now. But so whatever it was, if I keep it on the hundreds, if the ARV was $100,000, then you could not put more than 75,000 total dollars into that property. So if you buy it at 50, put 25 into it, and then the ARV is $100,000, then theoretically you could cash out refi. You would get $75,000 out of that if you did it in cash. If you bought it on a loan and you had a $50,000 loan, and then let's say you put $25,000 cash into it, now you can get your $25,000 cash back out by refining, and you would pay off your first loan, get your $25,000 cash back. There are not a lot of conventional loans. You can use hard money, but that's also tricky. There's not a lot of properties that are still around these days where that's easy to do. And so if you're either a new to investing purchaser who's trying to buy and owner occupy, or just buy your first new property, or you're out of state, in both of these situations, I feel like generally, it may not be your specific case, but generally, people do not have the experience, or if they have the experience, but they don't have the local systems and teams set up to do the work that they need after the fact. So I tend to caution people at that, right? When you're a first-time home buyer, really, you'll be surprised when you start buying a property that you're like, oh, it's a fixer-upper, it looks good in the pictures. When you get in there and now you've spent $500 or maybe more on inspections just to find out that it needs new electric and it needs a new roof and it's going to have a lot of scary things, but it's an already operating apartment building. So while those things could maybe use updating, you've not bought at a price point where you're going to gut rehab this building. And if it's already operating, you're really not going to do all that stuff, right? It doesn't make financial sense, but people realistically aren't going to do that. And then what I see happening is somebody who wasn't prepared for that is now going to walk away from a perfectly good deal that would work for somebody who was prepared to do a renovation and cash out refi, because they were scared of the inspection, and now they've wasted $500 on that. So I typically try to tell people when I think they're getting into that situation what to expect. You're going to see that this roof is going to be new, not new, right? They're going to use this term, it's at the end of its serviceable life. That does not mean it's leaking. That just means if it were to start leaking, a roofer might tell you that you should replace it instead of repair it. But I promise you, I've seen as many of those where, you really, it's at the end of its serviceable life, but it doesn't have any problems until years later. A great example of that, I bought a building in 2016 that it said it had a rough roof. I had some repairs, $1,800 worth of repairs done on a 3-year warranty. I still, knock on wood, I'm probably jinxing myself, but I still have that building. I have had, and it's been 2016, so it's been almost 6 years now. I've had a couple leaks this year, minor leaks that were repaired. So I still haven't had to replace that roof. So I'm not a roof expert, but a lot of times the evaluation of something like a roof can seem really scary to somebody who's not done one before. And if that's not the case, and you're comfortable with renovations, not having the team to hit the ground running, if you're doing this from out of state, can also be kind of an area where I think it's maybe not the best first decision in a city. So maybe a first decision in a city is, let's get something that's turnkey, maybe it's full of tenants, and it will generate income, and you don't have an immediate need to do a lot of big repairs. You might be able to do some repairs and improvements over time, and then maybe hit another ARV and cash out on a longer time frame. But without all those systems together, you may end up spending more money or more time. And if you're using hard money, money is time, or time is money, right? So really, my advice for folks in those two positions is try to look at something a little closer to turnkey. And when your realtor, if you're talking with me or you're talking with somebody else, and they're telling you what to expect on a property, you really should listen to them. Realtors, we go through tons of inspections on properties in a year, and I feel so bad when somebody's wasted their money and they want to walk away because they just don't feel like they can negotiate, or because they bought something that was as is, that I could have told them before, if they were to express to me what things they wouldn't be comfortable doing, I could have probably told them to not waste their money finding that out. So I hope that you've found that helpful. I'd love to hear your questions below in the comments, and I promise to respond individually to each of you. And I would hope that you would subscribe and let me know some more things that you think might be helpful. Or give me some feedback. If you think that these videos aren't helpful or they're missing something, I'd love the feedback. Have a great day, and thanks for watching Invest St. Louis.